Welcome at the Make Europe Great Again conference. We are here reporting from Chisinau, Moldova. I'm Scarlett Karileva, and I'm standing here with
François-Xavier Jiquel. I am the Director of Operations of the NGO SOS Chrétiens d'Orient, which is mainly focused, as the name implies, on helping the Christian population of the Middle East, Africa, Caucasus, and Central Asia to have a future on their land and the land of their father that they founded themselves and on which they are not foreigners, contrary to what one want to make us believe.
So we're going to talk about the incredible work that you're doing, but also the fact that you are an NGO. Because as we know, NGOs, they don't particularly have the best reputation. A report came out by the Patriots saying that 17 billion was paid in the last 4 years, over 37,000 NGOs by the European Commission. They were used as a tool to indoctrinate us with propaganda for net zero policies, woke ideologies. You know, before we start talking about your work, let's talk about also the bad impact of NGOs. Because what we see is that they're being used as an undemocratic tool. They're a new layer of power that is influencing crucial policies. But we see that they're actually a mouthpiece of the European Commission, and it's really impacting the trust that people have in democracy. What can we do to restore that? What can we do to push back?
First of all, I would say that this NGO system that was mainly born in the West, the political NGO system, is a misuse of Christian values, because charity is at the center of Christian values, Christian system of values, and they took it, secular organization took it from the spirit we had in Europe of charity to use it as a tool to imply political agendas in the countries they are working in. And in countries that have a very different culture, they are trying to change by force with their money. So it's true that you spoke about the funds, you spoke about the agendas, and it's something we should always have in mind. First of all, who and how funded these NGOs. Often you can see former political members, you can see very involved far-left activists who created those NGOs. Secondly, how are they funded? Most of them, the majority of their funds are coming from political parties in position of powers in Western democracies that are using clearly these NGOs as tools, while these NGOs are claiming that they are non-political and that it's in the most important values they have is to be non-political, while on the field when you work with them you see that if you don't adhere to their political views and to their political agendas, you are left aside of the NGO community. And finally, just judging the work they do on the ground. And you can see that it has been clearly underlined recently that when you're more focusing on gender ideologies, on LGBT fights around the world, on climate, but not in a good way. Climate is essential to get involved in, but not in a good way, in a coercive way, and in ways that are harmful for the countries. At the end, you're completely destroying the core essence of the notion of charity.
I agree. And then, of course, there are also good NGOs like your own. You know, I think it's very important to lead by example. And it's, of course, people have a very negative connotation now about NGOs. As you mentioned, they should be non-governmental. In fact, they are not very often. What is your organization doing to combat the prejudice that there is about NGOs?
First of all, as every NGO, I could say, we have a political goal, but our political goal is clearly stated. We want to help Christian communities to stay on the land of their fathers. That's the goal we have. It's official. It's on our website, and we don't lie to anybody about that. We don't lie to our donors. We don't lie to the governments we're involved with.
Who is your donor?
We have around 80,000 private donors from the little old grandmother in the countryside giving 20 euros to some wealthier individuals who can give up to several thousand euros.
And it's fully transparent.
Fully independent.
European Commission, I hope you're watching, please take some note. This is also how you can conduct business.
And fully independent, because in the NGOs, I told you that in the core of values of the NGOs, the 10 rules of the Red Cross, there is being non-political. We saw that they are not. And there is being independent. And how can you be independent when you get the funds from Western countries, from the European Commission, sometimes from the EU, but on behalf of governmental donors, and that you want to implement programs in some sensitive countries? It's very hard. Us, we are political in a sense that we give officially on our website, we don't lie to anybody, and we are fully independent, one of the only independent NGOs on the market today, let's say, because we receive only from families, and the families decide if what we are doing is good or right, depending on why they got involved with us, and we receive absolutely no orientation from governments or from big international partners.
So it's interesting. Because you're seen as a conservative NGO, you told me. Are you not entitled to get any money from the governments? I mean, if all these NGOs that are promoting policies that are actually very bad for us, I mean, at the end of the day, you're also an NGO. Aren't you entitled to get some of those subsidies?
Actually, now we have 12 years of existence, so we have some proofs of solidity of our actions, and we have been audited every year for the past 12 years, and very meticulously by our government, because of course as a conservative NGO they are looking at us very, very, very closely. So I think it's if something we can say is that it's very transparent and very, very checked, and it's true that we are looking for some fundings, of course, always, and we've asked regularly governments, especially our government or the European Commission for funds, and apparently if you're not part of the club, it's quite hard to access this kind of fundings, which is crazy, because when you say that NGOs should be independent, the donors should be objectives as well, and not pick the side of the NGOs they are funding, as long as you have the proofs that the beneficiaries get 100% of the funds and that our programs serve the common good. And that is clearly not the case in Europe today.
No, because at the end of the day, we're talking about taxpayers' money that is only funneled into some NGOs, probably run by some friends of Ursula von der Leyen. Well, I also want to talk about your work, because you're protecting Christians all over the world. And we know, of course, that the Druze are being attacked now, unfortunately, in Syria. I am not sure if I can mention this, but you told me when we were having some lunch that you were not allowed to talk about this on national television. Are they trying to hide the truth to the people at home?
I think that's something. I would not say that we are not allowed. It's just that it's not interesting for the government in power today. So national medias, aside from conservative medias, are not interested in the subject. Some crimes from countries that are not aligned with Western countries should be tackled on an everyday basis, should be on every single show on TV every single day. But when you're not on the side of the friends of our governments, you should not be talking about. And clearly the Druze actually are some kind of side consequence of the rising to power of Mohammed al-Shara in Syria, who was supported implicitly by most of our governments. So we are in a period of wait and see for the Western democracies who left the sanctions against this government and who cannot tell their people, okay, maybe we went a bit too quick, and now thousands of people are dying because we were careless about these recognitions. So that's why it's quite something they don't really want to talk about, because it's a bit dangerous for their image.
So as you can tell, they're trying not to talk about the brutal murder of these innocent people. Interesting, apparently when you're a Christian, your life doesn't matter equally. Well, you were mentioning that we also funded them, the regime in Syria, which is true. I mean, the EU paid them 5 billion euros. He was even, this leader al-Sharat, he was even welcomed with a big hug of Macron as a sort of hero, and now he is responsible of these brutal murders. How does it make you feel as a Frenchman? Isn't it betrayal?
I think, in international relations, we should always be careful. I think about al-Shara, the thing is, who is responsible of what? What is sure is that...
But he's not condoning it.
Some radical Islamists in Syria are conducting some mass murders, first against the Alawi, then against the Druze, and we pray to God that tomorrow the Christians will not be the target of these extremist groups. What is sure is that the current president of Syria does not have the power and doesn't succeed. It doesn't have the security apparatus to take control.
Is it power or is it willpower to actually do something about it?
I'm not in his heart, but what we can say is that the people who are committing it are his former friends, alongside with which he fought during more than 10 years. It's. I will just say that we should be careful, and SOS Chrétiens d'Orient has always been in favor of lifting the sanctions on Syria, because the first victims of those sanctions were the civilians, and were all the Syrian population that was pushed to migrate towards Europe, and we should have left these sanctions earlier. But the thing is that today, saying in less than a few months, everything is fine, we lift the sanctions from America to the European Union, and we receive him at the presidential palace in France, and we make big hugs, as you say, without having some guarantees that the safety of the population and the unity of Syria will be ensured afterwards, is a bit dangerous for our country and for our strategical involvements on the international scene.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this interview. And also for the people at home, if they want to follow your work, what's the best way to do it? Because I heard you have also a little show on your own.
Yes, absolutely. So I can only invite you to follow our social networks. So SOS Chrétiens d'Orient on Facebook, on Instagram. Of course, we publish in English, we publish in Arabic, we publish in French. Now we even have pages in Italy and in Belgium, in which we have offices, and soon in the US. Looking forward to seeing you there. And I'm personally even having a show on Radio Courtoisie, the next best radio in France. Every Tuesday morning, we have a show especially about the geopolitics in the Middle East. So please follow it.
And as always, thank you so much for at home for watching.